Hey guys, welcome back to the Time Bomb channel, of course with myself, the Bombardier, and we're going Casio again today. They seem to sneak back into my life uninvited at every occasion. We're going with the MDV 106, both in blue and in black. And I think these watches need very little introduction. Clearly the review rating that you can see here on Amazon, I mean, it kind of blows me away. You know, over 10,000 people, setting the bar pretty high there for you know what is a very economically priced watch. So question I was thinking when I was just sort of like looking at these two watches was, you know, is the Duro, the story of the Duro or the Marlin, is it a story of humility or is it a story of Casio cutting corners? What do you guys think? And again, why did I buy two? Well, since they announced the new version, the MDV 107 last year, just a quick aside, I really like the bezels on these two. I've been watching a few of these older ones, the older versions on Amazon and on Fleabay, and these things are selling at double and triple the price of their RRP. I mean, I get it that people put all sorts of prices on things. It doesn't necessarily mean that they are selling, but these ones are selling at double the price all the time. It seems people are very happy to pay for that little fishy on the dial. Therefore, I thought, okay, let's get the two, stick them in the cupboard for a year and see if I can make a buck or two out of them. I'm just going to pause the camera there while I just de-plastic, because that could be a bit sort of distracting with all the rustling plastic. 1 second. Alright, so without doubt, the Duro or the Marlin is a low-key, no frills and very functional piece. And I think if you're able to find them at a reasonable price, then do so. Because as if you don't like them, you're easily going to be able to sell them, flip them without issue at all. Again, the stats I think are probably quite well known, but I'll just run through them pretty quickly. So we're looking at 44 mils across, 12 mils in depth, 48 mils top to bottom, lug to lug, and then 22 mils lug width. It comes, of course, with those 200 meters of watery goodness, and for many of us, those stats really do the job that we're looking for. There are also quite a few detractors. The biggest issue that I think most people have with this particular watch is the size. 44 mils is a common complaint for many people. And I understand, you know, if you've got a 5 to 6 inch wrist, this thing is going to be flopping around on there and it's going to feel pretty uncomfortable. It does, however, look like the 107 keeps the same sizing, so again that might not appeal to everyone. Many people also then replace the mineral crystal on top here, adding a sapphire, because this acrylic thing really is a bit of a ding magnet by all accounts. The movement inside also is a super basic quartz stock, Casio stock quartz. And Casio themselves are also not very transparent about what's inside. I haven't seen the new ones yet to see up close. It's as if they've actually upgraded the movements. My gut feeling is that they haven't, but anyway, if you guys know any different, drop me a comment down below, please. I'll start off with the blue one because the dial quality. I mean, this blue sunburst, I mean, it's beautiful. It's just singing out, look at me, look at me, and I think it works fantastically. For the price, that sunburst is quality. Whereas on the black, by contrast, I mean, whilst it does have an element of sunburst, I think the factor that contributes to the overall success is quite simply the redded seconds hand on here. You imagine that seconds hand were white or silver, I think the watch itself would look would look far too uniform and far too plain. Second hands alignment, while we're talking about the second hands, it's a bit of an odd one, because bizarrely the blue one is like a million times better aligned. Look at these images. On the black dial, it sort of seems that the second hand on the right side, so between 12 and 6, almost hits between midpoint, and then it rights itself as they typically do between 6 and 12. Whereas the blue one seems to be far better. The bezel grip, okay, as you can see, if the camera wants to play with me, so if you can see that the bezel is actually quite slim. It's not a heavily knurled, and I imagine that again, when wet, the grip on these things is not going to. It's not necessarily that easy. The 120 click movement sounds very good. You know, it is good, but you do have limited access to it. I think it's a bit of a weakness. Added to that, again, as you can see here, there is a little bit of play on it. It's not that solid at all. As I said before, the newer ones come with those different bezel colours, and I can easily see people, you know, buying the Pepsi or the Batman and popping it on here with this blue sunburst. I think it's going to look really good. Loom on these things, I mean, Casio are not brilliant at loom, but on these ones, I think they've done a pretty good job. Please don't expect Seiko standards, and you won't be disappointed. I think the loom is in all the right places, so box tick there. The crown is a screw down. To me personally, I mean, yeah, okay, it sits very well between those crown guards, but I think in comparison to the overall size of the watch, I think the crown is just a little bit small, possibly down again to my sausage fingers. But as you can see with the pop out here, the action is effective. Yeah. Doesn't look loose or anything like that. I think, again, box ticked there. Do bear in mind though that this is not a quick set date, and as I say, screw down just to guarantee you those 200 meters. What else have we got then? So let's jump onto the case back. Just pop that off. Where are we? So get the fish the right way up. So the case back again features that very famous fish. And I think for the price, the engraving is pretty well executed. But as you can see, just make sure we haven't got too much reflection on that. As you can see, though, that the fish is not aligned with the case. The case itself is quite shiny. Personally, I'm more of a fan of the matte. But I imagine when you've had this a few years and you've dinged it up, it's going to look pretty damn good. What else? So on the dial again, maybe I'll throw up a closer shot. You've got the additional minute track sitting below that bezel, which adds, I think, that additional element of framing to the dial. The date window over here at 3 o'clock is beveled. And I think, as you can see from the dial there, unlike a lot of other watches, the date window there doesn't, I don't think, interfere too much with your 3 o'clock marker. But that date window is quite small, and I don't think the font is super legible. It's not perhaps, say, as small as the date window on some of my Citizens. For example, the Tough down here is so small it's illegible. But again, so for the Duro Marlin, I think that's something to consider if you are a regular user of that date window. The strap, I think, is nothing special. It's fit for purpose. My first thought, in the heat, this is going to be a sweater and it's going to be uncomfortable. But again, that's not an issue for me. I think it has to be expected at this price point. And moreover, I think most of us are going to enjoy swapping this out onto something more comfortable and stylish. You know, they're going to look great on a NATO or, something like this, marine strap. You've got loads of options. All right, just while I wrap up, just going to pop it on wrist for you to give you an overview. I'm sure many of you either own it or you've seen it, so no surprises here. My wrist is 7 1/4, and as you can see, I think 44 is not small, but as I've been talking about with many of you guys, I really do prefer slightly larger watches. For me, as I said, the fact that people are paying up to £90 for these things new, and I paid £41 for them, meant that yes, I got two. And as I mentioned before, just to give you an overview of the black one before I wrap up, I think I'm going to stick them in the cupboard for a while and see how those new versions take off. I think a lot of people are going to be missing the fishy. And hopefully then these will sell for double or triple what I paid for them. I think the watches have a very clear place for many of us, either as that go-to daily beater, a travel watch, or maybe even the gateway drug watch that transports us across the river Styx to watch collectors' hell. Whilst for many others, there are a few detractors out there, you know, saying that it cuts too many corners, the size of it is wrong, the movement is too cheap. Personally, I sit it within the first group. I think if you look at the market for comparative options, I think that the MDV really does push a lot of those competitors out due to the quality control and durability. Example, the Timex that I reviewed the other day loses to this watch big time, and that's simply down to the ability to take a knock and get back up again. So yes, not a new watch for you today, guys, but as I said before, I imagine many of you will know this one well, so I'm really keen to hear your thoughts and experiences with it. Alright guys, that's a wrap for today, and up until next time, this is your host, the Bombardier, signing off. Cheers.